Hi, David Lederman. Welcome in Leadership in Blue Jeans.
Thanks for having me here. I'm glad to be wearing my blue jeans. So.
Yeah, sometimes I'm doing that too. Not all the time, because of course the Leadership in Blue Jeans is just a metaphor. We are just talking about mindset, about way of being, about life around a leader, because leadership is just a part of our lives, even though sometimes the leadership is with us also in personal life. We can also be a leader there, but our objective is to talk about leadership in career. But of course, a person is not only the leader, it's a whole actually, so we can look at a person from a holistic point of view. And the topic of our discussion today is a lot of holistic, because I want to talk with you about fulfillment, which is a large subject. I'm aware of that. So we will do our best to just keep it in 1 hour for the time being.
Okay, sounds good.
But my first questions for you is, who is David Lederman? What is your story?
My story. You want the titles, the roles, the aspirations?
I want whatever
I want to answer
whatever,
to that.
Yeah, inspires you now.
What inspires me now? You know, I think deep down inside, I am somebody who's just absolutely curious. I see the world in patterns. And that's what led me to this path of looking at fulfillment. But even in my tech career before the work I do now, I was initially on the user experience side, which is all about design and patterns and how do you make the applications or platforms work well. And I think I'm always curious about how stuff works. And I remember being really young, and whenever something didn't work, like a vacuum, or I'm dating myself, but like a little boom box or whatever that like my older sister was throwing out, I would just take it, unscrew it, and just look at how it all fits together. And I'm that way with everything. And I'm just fascinated by how life works. I'm fascinated by how leaders show up. I'm fascinated by how leaders don't show up, right? I'm fascinated by how the world tries to get more performance and get more well-being, and seems to always be at odds with each other. And I'm also just totally intrigued by the patterns of having a conversation with somebody like you that I know, but I don't know maybe as well personally, or even just a total stranger, and the patterns that make up their life. And so I think I'm just somebody who's just fascinated by people. And I know it sounds really trite and maybe even a little like woo-woo, but like there's just something really cool about this whole game we're playing. And I have my good days and my bad days, but most of the time I'm just really curious throughout the process. So there's that at the core. I am a father with an 11-year-old who thinks she's 23 and as wise as like a 50-year-old. And so she fills my life with so much joy, so much love, a lot of gray hair. If I let this grow out, you'll see it's gray. And it's funny, the other day, I hadn't shaved in a while and I let it grow out a little longer. And there's these two spots that are actually almost like a circle here that are gray. And she's like, Dad, what's wrong? Like you got like soap or something in your hair? I go, no, that's gray. And she's like, really? Why? And I go, because of you. And she looks at me and it's just funny. And I have an amazing wife, and so family is really important to me. We just celebrated 20 years of marriage, which is really amazing. I think that's what's coming up for me now.
It's an entire story in few words, which is quite interesting. And how or when, or even how and when, this fulfillment concept came into your life? Because I know that you didn't have all your life this path to fulfillment. You discovered it somehow, somewhere?
So it's sort of like two parts to it. One, I would say, I think I've always just felt that there's something more to life than just surviving, even when we're surviving. And I don't know, like I love movies from the time I was a kid, and there's something about the magic. Like, my favorite place to be, besides just spending time with my family, is give me an empty theater with just any movie on the big screen, and I'm like in heaven. I love it, because there's something there, right? And there's something like magical about being immersed in that. And I've just been, I don't know, I've always had this sense that when you're talking to somebody, no matter what's going on, there's almost like not a state, because that sounds very like performance, but there's like a sliver where suddenly that person and you can connect and something happens and it just feels real, right? And I'm not saying like romantically, just something where it's just like, whoa, right? You have a conversation, you do something, you look at it, just something happens. And I've always felt that. But I grew up in a family that was very much in the medical field. And nothing against anybody who's in the medical field, but it was a very literal, like what's in front of you is all there is. Life's about just you go here, you get into med school, you do this, you do that. I was the crazy kid who was undoing things and wanted to be a filmmaker initially, right? And it's like, and why I wanted to do film was because when you make movies, people connect to that magic. My favorite word is magic, right? But the word magic literally means to influence matter. So it's practical. It's not woo-woo fluff. It's real. And I love to talk and do talks. I mean, I love to do speaking engagements, and people often say, wow, like when you talk, like there's just, like we get captivated. I'm not trying to, I'm just being me, right? And when other people are themselves, like, wow, you get hooked, right? You get drawn into it. Or when somebody starts to be vulnerable, right? Because they're being real, it pulls you in. So there's that aspect. And then there's the aspect that then I went and did what everyone said I should do, right? I left filmmaking because it's like, how are you going to survive doing that? I got into the tech field because I was creative and also technical, and I taught myself to code and do all that. I made good money. But I saw a lot of really smart people working in ways that just didn't add up. And the day-to-day user experience, the day-to-day experience they were having, even though their overall path might have been something that's like, wow, this is awesome, was miserable. Exhaustion, fatigue, physically in pain, right? Chest pain, hair loss, things of that sort. Major disruption with their family, disconnection, and so forth. And I got to thinking, like, really? Is this like the best that we can do? And then on top of that, I hit a really low point in 2015. We struggled a lot to start a family. We lost 2 pregnancies in ways I wouldn't wish on anybody. And that cracked my heart, basically. Open, but also in a painful way. I also had struggled with some mental health challenges as a kid. I had OCD, it was really bad, because I had all this energy and I didn't know what to do with it. And I can talk more about that because it connects to the idea of fulfillment. But I started going like, wait a second, how do I dig myself out of this hole? And I can still remember the day, it was December 11th in 2015, where I just was like, I don't know another step forward that's not going to repeat this craziness that I see everybody else doing, that viscerally in my body felt this isn't right. There's got to be a better user experience. And so I remember some crazy thing happened. I don't know if you want me to get into that, but I can. That forever changed my life. And I remember just going like, wow, is this actually possible? So I spent the next 5 years interviewing people, trying to go, okay, what are the mechanics of this? Because what drove me nuts is you go to any best-selling book or listen to any podcast, and you're going to have one speaker who says do X and another one who says Y, and they often contradict one another.
Yeah.
Right? True. Just go out there, say yes to your dreams, change the world, but just be. And just embrace what is, right?
How can you do that?
Exactly. Not only how can you do that, but how do you do that when you're just trying to keep up, you're exhausted, you've got, your work, your family, all that, against a world backdrop where, not getting political, but when the president of the country I'm from, just a few months ago, was talking about invading Greenland, regardless of why, it's just like, what's happening in this world, right? And particularly the idea of invading, right? And you have economic volatility. You have AI literally challenging what it means to be a human being. And not necessarily in a bad way, right? But all these things are happening, and you have all this contradictory advice, and we're all trying to get more done and have well-being, and it's literally, the user experience is insane. And I hit that point where I'm just like, to continue on that path is just as insane. And for whatever reason, because of trying to figure out how things work, I just was like, I'm gonna use my life to try to do that. And I became obsessed with trying to understand the mechanics of fulfillment. How do you, not what's the answer, right? Not is it meditation or is it this, but how does it fit together in a way that actually is sane? And that's
for you as a person, because it's not the same for everybody.
I wanted to find the underlying structure that is the same for everybody, even though what you fill it with is different. So think of it like a table. Everybody sits and eats,
yes,
more or less at a table, right?
Yes.
What you eat is different. When you eat might be a little different, but everybody has to eat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And there's ingredients, there's food, there's cooking and all that. I wanted to understand those parts and go, is there something there that we can actually leverage, so that then, based on your personal life circumstances, your issues, your aspirations, and all that, this can help you. And that's what I've been focused on.
Many people are talking these days about meaning, about sense of life, or even meaning and sense of work, which sometimes are the same, or not the same, but close to each other. Many of the times, because this is our history as human beings, are different. And they should not supposed to be that different, I mean.
You mean meaning and...
Meaning and sense of work, with meaning and sense of your as personal,
I see.
As a person.
Yeah.
Because now we choose our careers based on criteria that are not were not aligned with us as a person. This tends to change from now on, but we will see how fast. What is the difference, or is there a difference between meaning and sense and fulfillment?
Is there a difference between a sense of meaning and fulfillment? That's what you're asking.
Yeah.
That's a really great question, because it comes down to semantics. So...
I promised I didn't put stupid questions.
I know, just kidding. I like it. I'm trying to think of how to say it succinctly, because it involves several different pieces. The first thing is we got to define what is fulfillment. And that's a word that means many different things to many different people, right? If I ask you, what does fulfillment mean? What would you say? To you.
This is a great question.
I'm going to turn it back.
Because because I don't have actually a great answer yet. Because I'm not sure actually. What I know is that it is formed by several things, it's not just one. Because I have to pick something from my career, I have to pick something from my personal life, I have to pick something from my family. These are mainly the components that will give me the fulfillment, because I need all of them. So probably is, if I have to refer to my career, is to do something that I like. Which is very important, and this to have a result that has an impact. These two should go together. From me as a person is probably to live at this point of my life. This is what I wish, to live a long, healthy life. And for my family is to have a balanced relationship with them.
Well, yeah.
I don't know how to put it in less words, but it's like this.
Great.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a slightly different question. How fulfilling is your day-to-day experience of life?
I'm not asking from a place of judgment. I'm just
No,
asking.
no, I know that. I was just thinking that I should put the questions here. But
You can give me a short answer. You don't have to answer. You've already answered with your whole body language, right?
Is that most of the days, at the end of the day, if I think of it, it is fulfillment.
Okay, fair. I mean, it's
Not all days, but yeah.
So here's the thing. Most people define fulfillment as something you arrive at. Or it's something that you earn, or it's something that you accomplish, right? I get to this point, right? I get to the point where my kids are okay. I get to the point where I'm able to do X with my business and it ripples out and impacts a lot of people, right? The problem is when I start to ask people questions, and this is what I spent a lot of time interviewing people around, it gets a little fuzzy because people are like, if I do what I love, right? There's the saying, in English at least, if you work in your passion, do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But then I ask people, I go, why are most of my clients working in their passion space and burnt out? And people are like, huh, interesting. And then I ask, okay, what about the people like, and you've heard me give a talk where I use Michael Phelps, who was passionate about swimming, really good, worked hard, had an impact, won an amazing number of gold medals, and then got to the point of wanting to consider taking his own life.
Yeah, I'm just thinking now that maybe people are not satisfied or happy with small things. They're just waiting for the big thing to happen. I don't know.
There's several things, right? We could spend a whole hour talking about the things that don't add up because you're spot on, right? But then at the same time, I can't tell you how much I almost destroyed my life walking out of this amazing tech career in 2019 in November, not knowing there was a pandemic coming around because I heard this calling and this voice inside me that said, okay, you're ready, let's go. Even though I didn't have anything really lined up. Almost destroyed my marriage because it triggered all kinds of fears and other dynamics that came to the surface. There was this pandemic happening, all because I thought, I can't be me. I can't have the impact I want to have because I am stuck in this thing that doesn't fit, right? So there's that pattern. But then at the same time, there's the situation where I like to use this analogy where, I don't know, maybe you've ever done gardening, right? And you have to weed.
Oh,
right?
Of course I did. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's like, I hate weeding. I love nature. I hate weeding. I don't like weeds in the moment of having to get myself ready to go out and weed. However, if I sit there and I'm sweaty, I'm hot, and I'm working at it, after an hour or two goes by, suddenly something very different happens, right? It's not just relaxing. And so the way my brain works, I go, how do all those add up, right? And what I've come to find out, and this is supported by very different bodies of wisdom, ranging from neuroscience all the way to indigenous cultures and healing perspectives, and to everything in between, like mindfulness, meditation, and psychology, is that at the core, if I were to ask you what my daughter, when she was 5, kept asking and said, why? Why do you want this? Why do you want this? Why do you really want that? We're all going to arrive at the exact same answer, right? Because if I said ultimately, what do people want? It's 5 things on the surface. I want more money so I can feel more secure and get things for people I care about and give money away and donate. I want to have closer relationships, more love, and so forth. I want to have health, right? I want to have some adventure. I want to learn some things and grow. Like, that's it. Universal. Everybody wants that. But again, how? How we're doing that seems really interesting. And then you have all these people who have billions of dollars or all kinds of success, and they eventually become miserable just sitting on a beach or doing whatever, right? And so there's a fluid dynamic to the definition of fulfillment. And at the core, what I found, the most helpful definition is that fulfillment literally means to fill up. So I always ask people, what are you here to fill up with? And at the core, you showed up. You were born with something that is hard to put words to, but we all feel it. And that gets back to what I felt when I'm sitting in a movie, which is we have this spark. We have this thing in us that language falls short, but we oftentimes, like a plane crisscrossing a runway, we brush up against it, right? And if you break down what that spark is, it's qualities that are essential to you. I call them your essential qualities because they get to the essence of who you are. The problem is you have all kinds of conditioning and traumas and stuff that you've inherited that's passed down through your DNA and all that overshadows that. But everything that you love, the passions that you have, the purpose that you feel, and the opportunities that light you up at work and so forth are really just opportunities for you to be you, for you to express and embody these qualities. And when you can begin to understand the power of these qualities that are in you, that aren't just values, but more than that, and I'm happy to give an example so it really grounds it for people. Man, you can't, I had a client literally sitting in this chair, because I usually sit in that chair, who came and she was exhausted. She's like, I'm tired. She was like almost borderline feeling depressed. She had money, she had a successful business. She's in a bad place, right? And in literally an hour and a half conversation where we're getting close to one of her qualities, lit something up inside her where it's like, holy crap, that is me. I didn't even realize that. And suddenly you start to make connections in terms of how you're expressing that and where you're not, where it's getting in the way. And why that becomes really essential is just like the sun is here to shine all times, not once it's convenient, not once the weather's nice, not once X works out or Y falls into place. And an oak tree is here to just be this massive, majestic oak tree. You're here to be you. And I know to most people, especially because I can relate being at a really bad place in their life or really stressed or whatever, they're like, screw you, I'm here just to be me. But there's nuance to it. But at the core, that's what it's about. And there's a process to connecting to that, and there's a process to building a relationship to that. Most of us have learned to be successful in spite of that. Most of us are fighting ourselves every second of every day, and that's why we have to get on the phone. That's why we feel so much anxiety.
Most of us also learned or were raised to arrange our lives based on what others think. And this is very wrong and very difficult for us to switch. How would we do that? Can we do that even though we are, 50, 60 years old? What would be the process? Leadership in Blue Jeans este un proiect al comunității Smart HR. Comunitatea Smart HR este internațională, online și facilitează activități și acțiuni cu și despre people management. Dacă vrei să fii alături de noi și să vezi ce inițiative am pus în practică, urmează linkul din descriere și înrolează-te.
So that's where my approach is to align with this thing that I call your zone of fulfillment. You have a zone in this moment, any moment. And in fact, the more stressful, triggered, frustrated, more pressure you feel, that's life signaling in this moment. If you make a slight shift, not in what's happening, but how you're showing up, you can align with that. Let me give you a quick example so you can understand just how subtle this is, and then I'll come back to answering that. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
So I was talking with a tech leader who I didn't see in months, right? And we're, semi-friends, and he was telling me about a relationship he was in that he ended 5 months prior, right? Just after we had last met. And I was like, how? Okay. And he said it was really intense in good ways and a lot of not good ways. And he said it culminated in this trip where it finally ended because this woman that he was with was very abrasive, almost like verbally abusive. He's a big guy. And she physically got in his face and was like doing something like to the point where he felt almost threatened. And he put a hand on her. He didn't hurt her, but he was like, this isn't okay. And he physically put his hand on her to stop her. And then immediately he felt this, the way he described it, this intense wave of fear took over. And afterwards he was like, oh my God, because he spent a lot of time in anger management. And he felt this thing that was really scary. And so I asked him a little bit about it, right? Not trying to dissect it or analyze it? Just tell me a little bit about it. And he said, well, when I was like 10, 11 years old, I just realized, first of all, I had a lot of anger in me because there were problems in his family. And he's like, I realized I could literally, if you crossed me, I could go through you and the 5 people behind you and the 5 people behind them. Literally, that's what he said. And he goes, that scared the hell out of me. And so he's like, that could destroy people, that could hurt people. And he actually was a bully for a period of time. He's like, this isn't good. So he went like this with that quality, and he became bullied. Because he's like, at least I'm not hurting people, right? But he's like, that's not good. So when he got older, he's like, I've got to work on my boundaries and anger and all that, and that's what he did. And I said, listen, why do you think this relationship showed up for you, right? And he goes, I don't know, maybe I just have to do a little bit more work on my shadows and befriend my anger that much more. And I said, I'm not to tell you what to do. I have no idea. But I said, something tells me you spent a lot of time doing that. And I said, the one thing I'm not hearing is you describe something that happens to all of us, which is around the age of 10, 11, 12, when we're actually becoming, our body's changing, our emotions changing. Indigenous cultures say there's something inside us called our medicine. It's qualities that we're here to express that's literally powerful. It's energy that starts to sprout. And it's overwhelming as heck. It feels more than us. And he's 10, 11 years old when he's like, whoa, there's this power in him. He didn't have an elder or somebody to help him understand, okay, here's how you can hurt somebody with it. Here's how you can help somebody with it. So he bottles it up, right? And so I asked him, I said, okay, just out of curiosity, if you had to describe that power, what would it be like? And so he starts sitting there and he's telling me, he's like, it's strength. And then he goes, no, but that's not it. He's like, it's determination. Well, it's kind of like that, but it's not. And he's like, it's discipline. And he's like, but then people also come to me and I can hold space. He's saying all these things that are kind of it, but not. And he's getting frustrated because he's like, I can feel it. And so I say to him, I go, you don't have to, I'm just curious, right? I said, don't worry, sometimes at the level we're at here, we're at something more mythic, more that goes beyond just logic. And it's in us. So I said, sometimes if you, when you're at home or whatever, if you're curious, you can use different descriptors. You can think of, more poetic in terms of trying to describe it, something symbolic that can capture the essence of it. And I'm like, we can continue talking, whatever. And so we start talking about something else. You can tell his mind's still thinking about it because he's getting close to something in him, right? And all of a sudden, 2 minutes later, I kid you not, he interrupts me. And he goes, you know what it is? And he leans forward. He goes, I can frickin' move mountains. And the way he said it and the way he looked at me, I got chills. I get chills now because that was him. And the idea of moving mountains has a lot of nuance to it, but the energy of it is him. And how that shows up might be different for somebody else who has a quality very similar. But moving mountains encapsulates all those words that he was saying, but the spirit of it is essential to him. And the ironic part is that he spends most of his life trying to resist himself.
Hold back.
Because he's terrified of it, because he doesn't know yet how to channel that in an effective way. Or he does what a lot of times happens, is we channel it through fear and anxiety. And ironically, once he said that, he got quiet. And I was like, what? And he goes, you're not going to believe this. I said, what? He goes, I happen to be in the beginning of another relationship now. And this woman's amazing. I really, really like her and all that. And I feel like she's not ready, and that's fine. I don't want to force it. And he goes, I literally wrote in my journal last night, not all mountains are worth moving, about this relationship, right? And so what ends up happening is, it's like we're either totally conditioned to be somebody we're not, or we're doing the best we can, full of all these confusing conditionings and teachings and stuff that don't quite add up. And my mentor, who actually just passed away literally a couple of days ago, I'll never forget when he told me, he goes, it's not just about discovering what your qualities are, it's about building relationship to it. And there's a whole process to that because you have to undo a fair amount and you've got to step into something. He goes, imagine, because we both like Star Wars, right? He goes, imagine that I give you as an 11, 12-year-old this lightsaber, this powerful, amazing thing, right? What are you going to do with it? you're going to take it and you're going to start going like, whoa, this is incredible, right? And he goes, you're going to cut off people's arms and legs and all that, not wanting to because you don't know yet how to move this thing. And so what I see a lot of times, no matter how successful you are, is I see people who are chasing something that'll finally allow them to be at ease with themselves. And there's an analogy I use that just makes it real simple. If you were here to show up, not in terms of your career, but just who and how do you see yourself as this majestic oak tree. I love nature, so that's why I like to use that. Big, strong, grounded, anchored, right? And for whatever reason, you grew up in a family and a culture and an environment that taught you from day one that you're here to think of yourself, see yourself as this dandelion, this thing that, kids pick up and blow and all the seeds come out, right? Imagine what you would feel every second of every day. You'd feel I'm this ugly, round, colorless thing that's huge when I need to be like this. You'd go to school to learn how to be a more successful dandelion. You'd try to have a career to feel like a better dandelion. You'd go to workshops on how to be a more grateful, resilient dandelion. And all the time, the more successful you're at that, you're actually pulling away from this thing that is calling you back.
And you'll never be successful in the dandelion if you're not built to be a dandelion. Because this is another thing, but we will get back to that. Because, there is that SWOT analysis, when you point out your strength and weakness. And the scope of that was to work to your weakness, so you balance the strength with your weakness. Now, they switch the approach because, okay, you now know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, so move on from your weakness and just work to straighten your strength, yes.
Be you.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Because that's what we're here to do. And when people begin to understand the power of, man, like I've been fighting myself, right? I have a quality that allows me to actually ask questions and be curious in a way that most people don't. Not everyone's curious, right? So these qualities sound very similar, but when you get to yours, the body awakens. There's something that goes, we share we all have two eyes, right? We all have two arms. But when we get to the essence of us, now we're getting to something that gets to our heart in this mythic level that we don't have much exposure to in the Western world. And yet, when you combine that with the best of what psychology and neuroscience and mindfulness have to tell us when it comes to the mind and the emotions, and we combine that with the somatic stuff around our body and understanding that and nutrition and so forth, now it becomes something that actually fits together in a really, really powerful way. You asked earlier about how do you actually begin to connect to this, right?
Yes, what is the process? Yes.
Because I tell people you are here to be yourself now. Now that doesn't mean perfectly yourself. It just means that in this moment, how do I step incrementally more? That doesn't mean I hate my boss, I hate this meeting, I hate the very project we're working on. Let me just get through it. Because then I can get to the point where I'll have some time or a break where I can be myself. Life is telling you right now, you can move a little bit closer to yourself. And every time you incrementally do that, multiple things happen. In order to do that, there's two levels you have to look at. There's a micro level and a macro level, okay? I don't want to get too technical here, but you have to kind of understand the dynamics. The micro level is you've got to be able to create space, energy, trust in yourself, sort of courage, and presence in a way that doesn't fight yourself or the dynamics around you, right? And most of us only know how to be Robin Hood when it comes to energy, right? I'm going to take from this part of my life to have over here, right? Or I'm going to go on a week vacation, totally tune everything out, and then come back and get whacked in the face with what's waiting for me, okay? I'm not saying that's wrong. It's not right or wrong. It's just the user experience of that is pretty awful, right? So the question is, at a micro level, how do I do that? And the way to do that is there's three aspects that you can engage in any moment that helps you come back into greater alignment, even if you don't know your qualities and things of that sort. First one's your vitality. What's alive in you right now? When I work with people and they're really upset, they're like, oh my God, how do I get down here? I'm like, no, that's actually a beautiful thing. The more upset you are, the more frustrated you are, the closer you are to that energy, right? So vitality can be as simple as just tuning in and going, okay, what am I really alive with right here and now? I'm not trying to change it. I'm not trying to do anything, but just noticing it, in a way honoring it, right? But I don't mean like doing a ceremony. When you connect to that, it does something interesting, right? It engages different parts of our brain at the level that they're at, right? Physically, what's going on with me? Mentally, what's happening, right? Emotionally, right? At that point, it's easy to connect to. Oftentimes, I use a technique that I call the RISE technique, R-I-S-E. R stands for recognize what's alive in you. I stands for identify the story that's triggering you to think I have to get through this right now, that I can't be me, right? That it has to be like this. And there's always a story. No matter what, I guarantee I've done this with all kinds of clients in all kinds of situations, and oh my God, the thing that you look at and go, it's just this, is actually something completely different underneath the hood, that you don't have to understand why it happened, you just have to see that it's there. Because the moment you can see what it's there, the thing that is triggering, is the moment for you to then build some relations, saying, okay, cool, I'm ready to go to the S. The S is stepping into a new story in this moment. So, and to give you an example, I was talking to actually a successful author and a podcast host on a podcast episode. This was a few years ago, but it was really powerful because he started talking about his colleagues and how some of them, when he's being really honest, he feels are really lazy and aren't carrying their weight, right? And he's like, they're just sitting there, and he's like, they don't talk, but yet they're criticizing, everything. And they're just kind of like this energy that's just like, to the whole progress that we're trying to do here. So he started naming what was there. And I said, what is that connecting to? What is that belief that's there? What is the thing that is there? And suddenly he flipped it towards himself. And what became clear was that actually, that's exactly how he's treating himself. He was overweight, physically describing every quality in them that he was carrying. And he was very frustrated with that. And part of him was ready to actually not necessarily lose weight, but to stop going against himself in the ways that he wanted to be. So then we move into the next part, which is, so there's vitality, which is all that. What's alive in me? That's there, right? There's a lot that's there. Next, we step into what I call your vision. So you've got your vitality, your vision. And your vision is about, how do I remove the biases in this moment? How do I see the opportunities that are around me, right? We've talked at length, and most people have heard how, like, we don't see reality, we see our own filtered version of it. And the easiest way is to step into a possibility. And in order to do that, we have to use imagination. Like, most of us think, no, I'm going to do so from this state of anger and frustration. We can't do that. So oftentimes, as an example, I might have somebody go, okay, cool, imagine I give you $1 million right now. Physically, I want you to stand and turn and visualize you're stepping in a total, you can do anything you want right now. There's nothing holding you back. What would you do? And they might think of something totally different, right? And so, for example, that same person I was telling you about, the talk show host, he visualized himself flying, because he loves to fly, flying over the Pacific Ocean. There's a sunset and he's getting into it, right? And now clearly we're moving beyond that other state, right? And there's this whole scene, and I'm having him connect to it and be in it. And I asked him, okay, cool, if you had to describe, what's the one quality that you're feeling in that? He goes, I feel this freaking sense of adventure. I feel free to have this adventure, right? I was like, awesome, cool. So now he's just stepped into a new story, adventure, right? But then the problem is, he goes, I have this crappy meeting with these crappy people that I don't like. How do I do something, right? And that's where you have to bring your creativity into it and go, okay, the energy, the spirit of adventure right now is coming up for me. You don't have to know why. You just have to be willing to play with that wisdom from within. So I started asking him, what would be a way for you to bring adventure into this meeting? You can't leave it. What would it be? And he chuckles, and I say, why are you laughing? He goes, you know what it'd be like to feel like the biggest adventure? He goes, telling people how I really feel. I said, well, there you go. I said, what would it be like for you to literally take this risk in a way and be honest with people that you've been holding back on, and be honest about how you're feeling and so forth? And all of a sudden, he's like his whole energy, everything shifted, right? Now that's a lot, but in essence, what he's moving toward is something I call your inner authority. That's the last part. So on the micro level, think of a Venn diagram. You've got your vitality, your vision, your inner authority. Your inner authority is a combination of your lived experience and your intuitive experience, that wisdom within us. That's the best way to describe it. And your relational experience, what's happening around you that you can tune into. And again, the Western world doesn't have good relationship to that because everything's external. The data, the watch that tells me I got good sleep, the report that I have, the AI and so forth, right? What a lot of us have lost are the things that we actually see in the most amazing leaders that we all envy, which is this inner authority, this connection that allows with themselves, that allows them to trust, okay, I'm going to step in the midst of uncertainty, in the midst of overwhelm like this, right? But we don't build trust to it, right? We don't learn to do that. And so your inner authority often speaks in terms of symbols and subtle urges and things like that. But when you begin to build relationship to it, something really special happens. That right there literally got him connected to his essential qualities. But then at a macro level, you can do that day after day after day, and that's great, but that'll be exhausting because you're basically fighting the inertia that's there. At a macro level, you have to build relationship to these qualities, and you have to also undo a lot of the things that get in the way of that in terms of reconditioning your physical and emotional habits that often say, oh, when this cue happens, I feel like this. When I feel like this, I think this thought. When I think this thought, I have this reaction, and that just keeps you stuck in a loop. So I'm really simplifying, but in essence, it's a process. It really is.
Yes.
But it's a daily thing that doesn't require you having to change your whole life. You don't have to change your circumstances. And that's the thing, when I work with people, they're working in some of the most volatile, overwhelming environments. And by aligning with their zone of fulfillment and beginning to build relationship to their essential qualities, they begin to understand the ultimate trick, which is you're here to bring those qualities into the storm. You're here to be you. That doesn't mean you're perfect, you're rested. It doesn't mean it's easy. But it does mean that you're aligned with yourself and that spark inside you. And when that happens, man, can you show up differently in those moments?
Yes, because I believe that one of the most important challenges in this is to break your own beliefs.
Yeah.
Which is a very difficult process. It's a process itself. First of all, you have to know to identify these beliefs, because it's important to point it out. Well, this is something I know or I believe it is like this, but what if it's not? And then to break it and start over again, which is not very easy. You had, 50 years of life, living it, believing in something or something, and now that something is not the real thing, actually, because as you said, the truth is a truth, but maybe you're seeing something else, which you believe is the truth, but it's not.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
That's where the macro level comes in. Two things. One, I love this. I don't remember who I heard it from, and I wish I did to give him credit, but imagine you're a kid and you have the most amazing, huge lollipop in front of you. And I don't want you to have that lollipop. But you are not going to let go of that lollipop because you love it so much, right? Imagine that's a belief, right? It's gave you comfort or whatever. Might not be healthy for you, but it's there, right? How do I get you to let go of that lollipop? There's only one way to do it.
Eat it.
That's good. No one said that. That's good, but I like that. That's good. You have to give a kid a bigger lollipop.
Yeah.
If you give a kid a bigger lollipop, they will go, here you go, right? And this is where there's a dance between the two worlds that are out there. One is about stepping, right? Chase your dreams, go out there, perform, do all that, right? And then there's the heal, the shed in a way, let go of the things that are not you. You have to do both, and they have to happen simultaneously. It doesn't mean you're sitting here right now and we're literally doubling up everything we're saying, but you have to have a process that allows you to do both. And if you don't, one of two things can happen. And I've screwed up both of these. That's why I'm speaking from experience, and my clients have too, right? That's why they come to me, because a lot of them have tried stuff, right? So I was successful at pushing, performing, going out there, making stuff happen, and it burnt me out on every level, right? And then I'm like, forget about that. And then I discover this other side of me, this more intuitive, spiritual side, is great. It's, oh, just be. Great, I'm gonna trust, I'm gonna surrender, right? But literally now, I'm just stopping everything. You're not here to stop. You're not here to run either. You're here to step when you feel inspired to step. And you're here to slow down and pause when you feel inspired to slow down. The problem is we're so disconnected from that source of inspiration that oftentimes it's either other people's voices, like our parents, or it's society telling us that we should feel this way or do this thing, right? But at the core, we need to do both. And so why that's so critical is if you're just working on your beliefs and trying to go, I have this thing, what's wrong with me? I spent years and years and years trying to go deeper and deeper into what the hell's wrong with me so I can finally get to the point where then I'm free of that and I can move forward. And that point won't ever come. Because you need to also step. You need something that's going to catalyze your physical body, your mental, emotional body, that will help you literally rewire your brain. And the only way to do that is to step out of that. And without getting too technical, you need something that inspires you. That's why all these programs that are like, okay, cool, what's your dream? Go after it. It helps get things going. But so many of those people have the mechanics, like getting oil in your car, things are moving and that's great, but they're still trying day to day to do so in a way that's disconnected from those essential qualities. And when you begin to understand that actually everything in your life is trying to get you to see and understand and connect to your essential qualities, all the things that you think are getting in the way are trying to show you the way. They're trying to filter you, not to say this decision's bad or this choice, or excuse me, this project, but how you're showing up in it is not right. And when you have people who are taking action and succeeding, but reinforcing this inner dissonance, this inner disconnect with themselves, it just perpetuates the same thing having to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is why we are repeating the history, more or less.
So your belief, for example, right? I would tell you two things. One, it's important to recognize when the belief shows up and so forth. But my question to you would also be, what are you stepping into? Do you have a new energy, a new way of being that feels viscerally in your body? Yes, that's me. I want to connect to that a little bit more. I want to be curious about that today. Most people don't, and that's not criticism. We just don't think of that, right? And so in essence, it's really hard. Yes, you can try to remove a belief and so forth, but you're doing so at the same physiology and the same state that created it. And like Einstein said, you can't fix a problem at the same level that it began. So you're really making your life a lot harder. And then on top of that, you're gonna have conditioning. I have moments where, trust me, it's not like smooth sailing, but I have, just like an athlete has their training regimen, I have a collection of practices that do four things. One, it gets me every day connected to what it is I'm stepping into, my essential qualities. Two, it helps me set a very clear, what I call inspiring intention for why I'm doing what I'm doing. Could be work related, it could be, I like to go even deeper. Three, I have several different things, and this is where the variety comes in. Underneath it, I'm speaking about the pieces that make up the table. Does that make sense? How you fill that can be unique to a modality that you like and so forth, but you need to protect yourself from yourself. And so my favorite thing is, and I've seen this in a lot of amazing teams and individuals, is they have a very strong, clear code of honor. Something that they put together that they know, these are the codes by which I live by. And every day they check in on that and go, how am I doing? And that gets to something in here, right? I could sit there and say, yeah, I want to have meaningful relationships. That doesn't mean anything to me. And I used to do that for a while, but I found that I would slip up, I would drift away from how I want to be in my truth, even in tiny micro moments. I'll give you an example. Happened just last night. So just to humanize this, right? My daughter knocks on my door right at a point where I'm feeling inspired and in the flow of something. But I had told her that at this time, right before bed, we're going to do sort of nightly ritual. We play a card game that she really, really likes, right? And 5 minutes before that happened, I was looking at the screen going like, I should probably pause here. I can squeeze in just 5 minutes more because I was in it, right? And it was, I had drifted in a way into my old way of doing things. She opens the door. I'm a little frustrated, not at her, at the situation, because I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I say, just give me 2 more minutes, right? And she closes the door, and she does that sigh that if you're a parent, sometimes you probably have heard, or maybe you've heard, but for me, it means she's like, you know, like, this is important to me, right? And in the grand scheme of things, it's not like, oh, I need to drop everything I'm doing for my kid. It just means in this micro moment, I've made a commitment, right? And one of my codes, the first code, is family first. And there's points to it. One of them is honor moments of connection no matter what. But 2, it's not just give up everything for just because my kid wants to play. It's find creative ways to connect, right? And so I'm really frustrated, right? And so what do I do in that moment? I'm like, I remember my code because I glance at it every single day. That's the practice. And I go there to her and I say to my daughter, I said, Ava, I said, I'm really torn here. Spending time with you is so important to me. I said, this thing is coming up and it's really important to me too. Is it possible for me to take a few more minutes here? If you say no, that's fine, and I'm totally okay with that, but I want you to know how important this is. And she looks at me and her energy shifts because now I'm showing that I really care, right? I'm honoring what's important to me, both things, and seeing if there's a possibility. And she's like, yeah, go ahead, totally fine, right? So in that moment, my code saved me from myself. And then the other thing is you have to have practices that help you condition how you want to be, just like an athlete trains every single day they don't make the champion shot because they're good. They've rehearsed it, they've done it, they've trained themselves for it, right? And there's a lot of different ways to do that are flexible and straightforward. But those pieces have to happen, and if you don't, you're gonna have all the insight about yourself, which I had for a while, because I was like, oh, cool, I know my medicine, I know my qualities. One of the things that I remember getting frustrated with my mentor with is I go, but there's more to it. The experience of building relationship to it is what's missing. And that's the part that the zone of fulfillment framework really aims to do. So it is a process, and it can sound like it's a lot, but they're actually micro little things that combined with the right inspiration, if you will, and awareness, and seeing where the friction points come in when you don't do that, builds the motivation you need internally.
It's like that saying that any big travel starts with the first step.
Yeah.
It's like this. David, because our time is almost over, I just want to ask you about this center. We are now here at your center called Origin. What are you doing here and why did you develop it? So, on the surface, it says it's a hub for personal development, well-being, and community and connection. At the core, what we want a space where, you know, when you go to Starbucks, if you go to Starbucks, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but you know when you go to Starbucks, there's a certain feeling you have. You can sit there and whatever, maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but you know what it is, right? There are a lot of places where there's well-being or you get you meet with a therapist or whatever, you come in, you do it, and that's great. What I feel is really important, especially in the world that we live in, is a space where you're able to be yourself, whether you're just literally passing by, whether you're getting a treatment, whether you're attending I do storytelling by a fire some nights, right? Or something like that, right? And what we want is for you to feel that sense of home that's in you. That's why it's called Origin, because you get back to your origin, this thing in you. And we really wanted a place in the community where people can connect to that, and not just, I'm healing. Again, nothing wrong with that, but something that goes a little bit deeper as far as the mission, if you will. The other thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to create a space where people who are aligning with their medicine, who want to help with well-being, with mental health and other things. You know how hard it is. You know how hard it is to start something, right? As an entrepreneur. And especially in that environment, it can be real challenging. And so we offer really flexible arrangements with people who are just starting out, and a lot of support for that, because again, we're trying to build a hub, a community, if you will, within the community that supports that. And just real quickly, we have this one lady, she's just a mom,
Right, not that that's a small thing, but just as far as like professionally, sorry, I know that comes with just it's a huge thing. But anyway, she said, she's like, I did this class where it was like using my voice, and I just want to do it with some friends. You think, can I use your space? And we said, yeah. And when she heard, our arrangement, she said, oh, this is so, okay, good, because I don't know how many people I'm going to have, and this is, I can do this, and it's okay. And so she started doing it. And she's following that spark in her, right? And it's been several months, and not only is her class grown, but she's expanded to like several other things, and is literally like stepping into this, I don't want to call it business, but in essence, this new chapter for herself that is really amazing to see. And she's literally creating these ripples that are true to who she is and helping other people do that as well. So that's what Origin's really about. And that's what we do here.
I like it because, it is very important to do something different and to have this kind of sense and meaning for you and for the others as well. Thank you very much, David. I'm happy that we managed to have this discussion, and I promise you that we will have another one soon. Right now we are in Sibiu, in your center, as I said. Maybe we will meet somewhere else or not, because we will travel a lot this year. So maybe we'll meet each other again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you to all our viewers, and see you next time. Goodbye. Leadership in Blue Jeans este un proiect al comunității Smart HR. Comunitatea Smart HR este internațională, online și facilitează activități și acțiuni cu și despre people management. Dacă vrei să fii alături de noi și să vezi ce inițiative am pus în practică, urmează linkul din descriere și înrolează-te!